Hey, what's up? Let's dive into my code base. Today we're going to tackle the high-level architecture of my workspace. Let's dive into my code base. The code shown in this video is part of my Angular Superbase boilerplate. Meet Influencer, a real app that I use to schedule my social media stuff, and that is shipped along with my boilerplate so you can install it locally. It has light and dark mode, it's mobile friendly, and has a bunch of other cool features. Awesome, let's go over the high-level architecture of this code base. You can see that we have apps and we have libs. Apps are empty shells and libs will contain all the functionality. This is an NX workspace, and NX is awesome if you want to really scale your workspace. If you want to really scale your monorepo till infinity, this really works. So I'm using this code base for all my personal projects. Influencer is the only one in here since this is the released code of my boilerplate. So let's have a look at the apps. You can see that we have one app here, which is Influencer. And Influencer only has one component. And this component is just an empty shell. This entire application is just an empty shell. There is no functionality going on whatsoever. What we do have is the app routes. And we can see that the app routes use Influencer feed shell routes. Influencer feed shell routes uses simplified Influencer feed shell, which is a library that lives in the Influencer scope in the libs. Here we can see that we have multiple libraries in here. Let's go to the feed shell. The feed shell is basically the entry point of our Influencer application. It doesn't contain that much. It just contains a shell component which will maybe do authentication and stuff like that. It also has a lib routes. You can see that this is a router configuration that just lazy loads all the different modules for us. All these different modules live in their own libs. These are nice imports, right? This is because we are using TypeScript path mapping. We can see in the tsconfig.base.json file that every path is linked correctly. This is completely set up by NX, so you don't have to worry about maintaining that kind of stuff. These TypeScript path mappings will result in very clean imports. Let's take Influencer state topic for instance. Let's go to this facade and we can see that we can have the topic state machine that we can just import from simplified Influencer state topic. Let's stop 1 second to talk about barrel files. A barrel file is an index.ts file that every project exposes. The feed channel exposes one, the data access topic exposes one, every lib in here exposes one barrel file and one barrel file only. Make sure that your projects also have one barrel file. Don't start adding barrel files in other folders because you might end up with circular dependencies. It's of vital importance that the barrel file only exposes what is really needed. If this GitHub service, for instance, would not be needed outside of this, we should not expose it. To keep feature libs encapsulated, most of the time we will only expose the routes. We will not expose UI components, smart components, or anything else. We just expose what is really needed. So the barrel file is the heart of every lib. It is what the lib actually exposes to the rest of the workspace, so be sure to be very careful with what you expose. We only expose Influencer feed channel routes here. We could also use a wildcard, but that's not a good practice because we don't know what will be exported in the lib.routes file. Influencer is the scope of the Influencer app. In my personal monorepo, I also have Influencer Pro and I want to use certain things from the Influencer scope. For instance, I need to use some stuff from feed idea. So the barrel file here would expose all the routes, but I do want to reuse those components as well. Therefore, I expose them through the barrel file, but only because I really need to. I hope you enjoyed this brief overview of the high-level architecture. In the next video, we will talk about all the different types of libs. We have state, we have feed, we have UI, data access, type, and util. We will learn it is of vital importance to make a distinction between these types of libs to make sure that we know exactly where our code belongs and how to enforce encapsulation. If you don't want to lose time and start building now, you can have this application running locally in 10 minutes and start building your dream. I have done all the hard work for you. Check it out at simplified.courses/angular-boilerplate.